So welcome everyone to Thrivecast, Unlocking Your Full Potential. I'm Oscar, I'm an emotional fitness coach, and I help people embody their higher self so they can live their true life purpose. And with me today, I have my co-host, Katarina Hanssens Carlsson. Katarina, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Thank you, Oscar. I'm a neuroscience expert. I'm the founder of the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Consultation, which you find your driving purpose in one day in. I'm also a psychotherapist, and I have healed myself and other people from PTSD, and that's the subject of today. What is post-traumatic stress disorder? What is it? And who has it in the world? Well, according to the World Health Organization, only 3.9% of people have it. I don't think so. I mean, in history, there's been 100 years war. Everybody is affected by war. Everybody, the whole globe, either directly or indirectly when there's a war. So, and there's so much PTSD that it goes unhealed. People think, well, time will take it away. No. Oh, well, a great relationship will take it away. No. You have to address it. You have to go into it. You have to find the trauma. You have to go deep into it, own it, communicate it, and heal it. And you still can be left with depression afterwards. You have to own that depression. So it's quite a journey, but it can be done. So Oscar is the living essence of that, and I am the living essence of that. We are thriving after PTSD. So what is it? What causes a trauma? I would say abuse, rape, war, anything that threatens your life, anything that threatens who you think you are, people who hate you, people who beat you up. Anything like that can cause trauma. Even sitting in a classroom and being picked on by your teacher can cause trauma. And you can have that trauma for the rest of your life. So I was a teacher. And so I'm just saying to teachers, be very, very careful what you say to a child. Be very careful, because that child can be in trauma because of what something you said, maybe in a stressful moment. Many of my clients have complained about that and have been traumatized because of a teacher or a parent or an aunt or an uncle who've said something really unkind and thought that they were helping the child, but the child went into trauma because of that. So a lot of things can trigger trauma. And at least 3.9% of the whole world have it. And then I think there's another at least 10 to 20% who have it and completely deny it. So, Oscar, what is post-traumatic stress disorder and how does it come about? How does it occur?
Yeah, so PTSD and CPTSD. I mean, it's just listening to the short description, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder. So which means that in the past there was a traumatic stress, and that's what they call it's a disorder, right? It is like that caused something to shift in your reality. Your entire perception, for whatever reason, shifted at that point in time. You were the past that you were before is completely different from the future that you are after, right? So something occurred that utterly shifted your idea and your perspective upon reality, and your reality started to mirror that new idea that is based on a negativity negativity experience. And so your mind shifts into the idea of, I'm going to protect myself from that, and you make an adaptation to your life. And that adaptation to your life becomes the adaptation that you apply to everything that reminds you of that single thing. Now, that is post-traumatic stress. And now that's that's most people talk. It's like, veterans and whatever, they experience these things. But if we are going to be really honest, exactly as Katarina says, anything can cause a trauma, but particularly very strong experiences. So, for instance, abuse, belittlement, someone that does not listen to you, isolation, being ignored. If your parents ignores you in a very early stage of your life, that's an utter trauma. Why? Because you feel that you are withdrawn love, and love is the only thing that you need in order to live. So of course it's traumatic, and of course you find all these fine ways of making sure that that love is ensured inside of yourself. In fact, that is actually what every single thing is about. You want to make sure that what you associate as love is there, and you adapt yourself in order for that to be the case. And when it comes to complex trauma, it has to do with your entire personality in a very young age starts forming around the perception of how your mom and your dad behaved, that caused you to adapt yourself in order for them not to behave in the way that hurt you. That's what I would say complex post-traumatic stress and PTSD is all about. And as long as you do that adaptation, you will feel out of sync with yourself and reality and people, and it will continue to push your buttons every time that you come in these type of situations. Why? Because you're not supposed to have it there. That's why. Yes. What would you say, Katarina?
Yeah, well, that's great. Oscar, you started to answer the next question, which is, what is the impact of post-traumatic stress disorder on our lives? And I would say it impacts everything. The way you do business, your relationships, the way you think about yourself, most of all, everything. So people with suppressed post-traumatic stress disorder, I would say, blame the world, blame the government, blame politics, blame everything outside of themselves because it doesn't feel good inside. So it must be somebody's fault, right? So with unhealed post-traumatic stress disorder, with unhealed trauma, we are very reactive. For example, me, I've had this. I was visiting my son in Stockholm, and a girl with her iPhone on the pavement. It's very common. Everybody knows that, and most people have their iPhones. She was walking towards me, and she bumped straight into me. And she apologized, but the apology was like, sorry, big deal. But I was angry. I was so angry that she bumped into me. But I was more angry, and she was more surprised at my anger and my reaction, because it actually had very little to do with her. It had to do with my past. It had to do with my father. When I worked that out, I felt much better, because otherwise I started to doubt myself. So I'm sure some people listening to this can relate to that. Why did I get so angry about this little thing? Of course, this woman was going to bump into me. I mean, today I wouldn't necessarily laugh, but I would find it kind of funny. If you're walking along the pavement with this, like this, looking at your iPhone, you're bound to bump into someone. So we project unhealed trauma makes you project on everything and anyone in your environment. So life becomes very complicated and very difficult. Another symptom of PTSD is that you may become depressed. I was depressed most of my life until I gave up my story. So life becomes difficult, business becomes difficult, people become difficult. Just dealing with people, dealing with yourself becomes difficult. Everything becomes difficult until you own it and say, there's something. It's not that there's something wrong with you, but there's something that needs to be healed within me. So what would you say, Oscar? What is the impact of PTSD on our lives?
Well, the essence of, the limitation that we feel is that you do not feel free. You do not feel free inside, and that is in most cases. You see, when you have post-traumatic stress, if it happens early in life, that becomes the catalyst to create even more traumas, because your nervous system learns to, clench itself. It gets stuck there. And so you learn this, like, oh, this is not okay, but this is not okay either. So you get more and more sensitive. And when you get more and more sensitive, you create more and more stuckness in your energy. And so your life starts shrinking because it simply wants to keep you from experiencing anything that could relate to it. So your life, in essence, become less free. And it keeps being that way until we deal with the whole thing. But and how does this express itself in its essence? Is this, these kind of responses, right? The reactivities that we have, that we in psychology call fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So depending on whatever strategy that occurred in your life that allowed you to, resolve and make sure that that need, whatever what it is that you needed, let's say it was nurturing, let's say there was self-sufficiency, autonomy, that you needed to feel listened to, or whatever it is, whatever need it was, that in itself, you made an adaptation that said, like, only if I do this adaptation, this need will be satisfied within myself. So maybe you needed to fight. In every single relationship, you fight. And that's when you actually get it. You bend the other person so they're on their knees. And that's first when you feel that you're loved, because that was the only way you could ever get your attention from your dad. Maybe that was one. Or the other one is like you flee. You flee from it. You isolate yourself from them. You do not dare to even be with them. You go on a trip to your mom, or whatever it is, right? You find ways of not being there, or you freeze. You become completely stone-faced. When they start arguing with you, you just feel like, oh, I can't do anything. You're just stone. Or you start pleasing them. You become so obsessed with they needing to show you love that you find all the ways to make sure that they never say anything that ever upsets you. So you make sure that you're going to please them. You're going to be there to them to make sure that their emotions do not affect you. That's essentially how these experience themselves. And then you have all your either type of personal adaptations to this, but normally that is what is going on, you see. Yeah, that's what I was saying. What would you say, Katarina?
Beautiful. So what did you say? Fight, flight, freeze, or what?
And fawn. Or fawn, Fawn.
To fawn. And how would you explain fawn?
Fawn is essentially that you are adapting yourself, so the other one, I mean, you become you're essentially extraordinarily sensitive to your environment.
You become a pleaser.
Yes, you become a pleaser.
You do anything to avoid a problem, right?
Yes,
Your
exactly.
conflict, what we say in Swedish, conflict red. You do anything to avoid a conflict. And sometimes conflict can be helpful. I just wanted to ask you that last one. Okay, good.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
All right. And the last question, how do you cure post-traumatic stress disorder? You can. But you've got to be very honest and very courageous and, brave about what really happened, what triggered it. And you've got to remember it. I didn't remember mine for almost 20 years. So I went through the symptoms and I went through depression, but I couldn't, and I went through a lot of aggression in a relationship. My aggression. And I didn't understand it, but I thought I was right because it felt right. But actually, aggression, unless you're actually, when you're defending yourself and you need to fight, that's another thing. But to actually aggression, there's no need for it.
Yeah.
There's no need for it. So, how do you cure it? You own it. You've got to remember it. If you don't remember it, you can go to a psychotherapist and eventually, if they're very good, they will get there, right? Because there's one point in your life that triggered this emotion, that triggered this trauma. And you need to go deep, 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 and then find that one point. And it's painful, but the outcome is worth it. So you go through you relive the pain. You own the pain. And you might, even if you know what it was and everything starts to make sense, you might still be in depression. I would not recommend taking antidepressants. Feel that depression, feel that anger, feel that, and write your story. Finally, when I got so tired of my depression, I'll tell you what I did, and you can do it too. Write your story. Write the worst things that have ever happened to you in your life and just lay it on your story, the heartache, the divorces, the loss of a child, whatever has happened to you, the failures, etc. And then go and read it to your psychotherapist. You can read it to Oscar. You can read it to me. And then burn it. It's just a story. And your past no longer exists. There is only now. Isn't that exciting? And you say, no, I cling to my past. No, it's gone. There is no past. That's the beauty of it. That will give you so much energy. So first of all, remember it, own it. Remember it with a psychotherapist, or own it. And then let go of the whole story. Write the whole story, and then when you're ready, burn it. Burn the story. So, you're smiling, Oscar. What would you say? How do you cure post-traumatic stress disorder?
I mean, it is very simple, and you were really like going into what is needed. But essentially, you feel it to heal it, and you need to go to the parts inside of yourself where you have completely disassociated from that memory, and it's not easy because simply your nervous system do not trust that you are safe there. So some people can be feeling numb. They don't even dare to go there. Why? Because they're simply, you need to build up trust to that part inside of yourself that was so utterly hurt that it needs to learn to listen to you again. You see, it's a part inside of you that has learned not to listen because you feel because it feels that you are not listening to it. And if you are not listening to it, it does not dare to even show you what is going on inside of you. So you become numb to that part of yourself. So perhaps you need to start at places where you gotta start to build that trust. And in order for you to build that trust is that you need to feel safe. And when you start to feel safe, then your nervous system will feel, oh, now I feel that it's okay for me to, unleash Pandora's box. Because there's a Pandora's box inside every human being that has been through anything that is traumatic. And that box is hurtful. And if you have learned throughout your life that I cannot feel pain, pain is to be avoided at all costs, you need to learn that pain is not dangerous for you. It is absolutely imperative. If you are the one who's like, no, I need to force my life to be in a way that it's not painful, you are in for a surprise. Life will force you to feel pain regardless of whether or not you deal with it fully or not. You see, the harder it gets, the more you shove down there, the more painful it gets. Yeah. And your body will start reacting. Your internal system will start reacting. You might get ulcers. You might get cancer. You might get all shit that is going on, unfortunately, because you do not dare to look what is there. You find a way to avoid it at all costs, and you keep with this adaptation inside of yourself. So in order to fully really take care of this, you need to understand that this is not going away unless I dare to take care of it, no matter the cost, because nothing is more important in your life. Nothing. It does not matter what it costs. If you need to go to therapists and you have to pay for your hard-earned money, that is it, because you are here as your soul to really let go of this once and for all. Because if you don't, then there's something that's called reincarnation. You will reincarnate with the same goddamn trauma that you're trying to desperately avoid, and your life might be even more miserable. It's hard to see this, but your soul knows that this needs to go. You reincarnated for this whole idea in your life, you see, in order to let go of what it is that you've gone through so you can experience more freedom as your soul. That's ultimately what this is about. You see, PTSD and CPTSD is a spiritual initiation. You are allowed to become more free as a spirit when you totally and utterly let go of what it is that you say has hurt you so bad. But it's not easy. You need to be with someone who has this particular experience and understanding. If it's me or it's Katarina, that can provide you with that safe space and the understanding of your psychology and the honoring of your psychology. So you dare to come to that place where you can finally start relaxing. And so your nervous system starts trusting that internal being inside of you. And when it starts trusting, then you can start letting go of more, and you start peeling the onion. But you must dare to even be with the onion in the goddamn first place. Otherwise, you will keep on adapting and life will become more and more limited, and you will find more things to complain about and more people to blame, and life will just feel gray. But it doesn't have to be. But you need to come across that pride that says to you that, something will happen that will help me. Time will pass and I will heal. But it won't heal unless you dare to look at what it is that you have gone around and, experienced throughout your life. And it must cost money. That's another trauma. If it is traumatic for you to give up your hard-earned money, well, guess what? Do you dare to go around with this shit inside of yourself just because you're so cheap that you feel like, but I can't do this? Or you find a way to do it, and then you see how money starts flowing into your life because you no longer feel that you are limited in your way of expression. So you have a freedom in how you're acting with people and interacting with life, and you start sharing your values with the world. You see, that is what it's about. You have to sacrifice that for yourself. You're doing it for yourself. There's no one who wins. If it's the end of your life and you have a bunch of money, but you're shit full of traumas, unfortunately, you will then reincarnate with those traumas and you won't have the money. So better, you know, use the money to get free, whatever the cost, and you will see that money will be no issue anymore.
Absolutely.
I need to say this and emphasize this because it's so easy that you say that, I'm so hurt and I'm so bad and I go into all of these things, but I don't have the money. But find the money, deal with it, and I promise you everything will solve itself, and you will be so grateful to yourself, but you will also be grateful to your trauma, because ultimately you will come to a realization within yourself that is so much greater and grander than anything you could possibly understand, because then it starts showing you that this is the purpose of your life, and then magic unfolds.
Beautiful. Yes, and you will not find the purpose of your life until you heal your trauma, until you heal your depression. It just won't come up for you because it will be too much for you to handle. You cannot handle purpose and trauma and depression at the same time. No, you cannot. And I want to say one more thing. There's no shame involved. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just becoming honest. And don't pretend that you don't have PTSD. Most people do. So if you're depressed and you don't really know why, if you feel empty and you don't know why, if you feel you have a life that's extraordinary, but you feel down, just ask yourself, what happened? What happened in my childhood? What happened at school? What happened with a girlfriend or a boyfriend? What happened that I feel so sad, or I feel so much pain from somewhere? What happened? So, Oscar, how do we contact you?
You reach me through my website, realitydecoding.com, where you can have a 30-minute conversation with me and you can explain everything that you're going through. And we will deal with these memories, this painful past that you are holding inside of yourself. And we let go of that CPTSD so you can feel that freedom within yourself. Now, if you feel that you're not quite ready and you want to have a little bit more of a softer experience, then you can go to my Facebook group, Live Your Purpose. You can check me out on Oscar Nygren on YouTube. And I also have a membership for almost just $33 a month, where you get 1 hour in a group, where you get 8 hours in a group session with me as I guide the people like you that are experiences this to let go of these traumas and establish a sort of safety with their nervous system. So life can start flowing. And that's called letting go circles. And in Sweden, we call it andrum. So you're welcome to reach out to me and say that you're interested in this. Yeah. And you, Katarina, what will you say?
Thank you, Oscar. For me, it's LinkedIn, Kathrine Carlsson, Katherine Carlsson. And I have an offer for you. Contact me and write the word cure, CURE in capital letters, and I'll offer you a half session free. So I charge $100 and it will be only $50 for a whole hour. So, welcome back next week. We are going to be talking about, what are we going to be talking about?
Midlife crisis.
Do you remember?
Midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis. Thank you, Oscar. We're going to be talking about midlife crisis. Is it the same for men? Is it the same for women? We'll find out. Have a good
All right, everyone.
next week.
Yeah, take care. Bye.